Okay, so Mark, why have you decided to come to therapy now?
Um, I guess I've just been having a lot of trouble with taking tests. They make me pretty anxious, and I guess it's just gotten a lot worse so lately.
Okay. Any other concerns that you've had that have brought you in currently?
Not really. I mean, I just, I, I'm really busy and things like that, and I'm in grad school, but I do fine on the other classwork. It's just the test that I'm having a lot of trouble with.
Okay, so what about the test taking has gotten worse? Like you say, recently it's kind of increased. So,
Yeah, it started out, I got to grad school. It was a little bit, more pressure because I was like the only one in my family that isn't in jail or is basically in college.
hmm
And so to get to grad school is like another level, as I was a little bit nervous in undergrad, but nothing big. Then I got here and everyone else is so smart, and I don't know, I started taking my first test and I noticed everybody else was like way ahead of me,
okay,
and I just kind of freaked out. I just kind of shut down, and I've been kind of get. It's been happening basically every test like that since.
okay, way ahead of you. Like they were taking it faster, or
Yeah, yeah. Like I noticed I was probably on like the sixth problem or so, and they were on like the 15th.
okay. So you noticed people were taking the quizzes faster than you, and that kind of increased your anxiety.
Yeah.
And then your grades on them.
The tests have been pretty bad. The first one I ended up with like a C, which was pretty unusual for me because I had like 3.5 GPA.
Okay.
And this last one I got like a D plus, so it was pretty bad.
Okay. So it started right when you entered into grad school, and you feel like it's gotten progressively worse.
Yeah.
Okay. And what semester are you in now?
I am my second year, second semester.
Okay. And so what have you tried, or have you tried anything to help with the test anxiety or to improve your performance or anything like that?
Yeah, I tried to, originally I just like you just gotta study more. You're not prepared. That's why you feel nervous. So I tried studying a lot more. I studied like just hours and hours and hours, and it still happened. And then I was like, oh, you just can't focus and things like that. So I went and talked to my pharmacist, and or not my pharmacist, but my doctor, and he
Mm-hmm.
prescribed me Adderall because he felt like it might be an attention issue, and then that made things a lot worse. So I stopped taking it, and that's basically what I tried.
Okay. You said it made it worse. What do you mean?
Yeah, like I just felt really, I was like way more nervous. I just felt really overwhelmed, like I couldn't breathe.
Okay. When you were taking the Adderall,
Yeah,
the anxiety felt like it was worse to you.
yeah.
Okay. Um, why do you think the anxiety has increased?
I don't know, maybe because I failed, or the first time it happened, I did pretty bad, and then I think I just started worrying about it more, and
Okay.
then it just got worse, like because I kept doing bad.
Okay. So as you continued to not do so well on
Yeah,
tests, the anxiety increased and maybe was causing you to do even worse on tests.
yeah, I was freaking out, and it was like, well, you're trying these things that are not working, and it's like, well, maybe I can't fix it, sort of thing.
Give me an example of the last test that you had to take. Take me through, like, when you found out about it, what you did to prepare for it, what happened during it. Just can you walk me through like a typical?
Okay, I had this test in social work, and I studied weeks in advance for it because I knew, this had been going on, and I just studied hours every day. I got there, I felt, really confident. I was like, oh, I know this. Every time I had studied the past like 3 or 4 days, I had gotten everything right, like down to the every word.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sat down and I felt fine. Then the teacher passed out the test. I started to kind of wonder, what if you do bad again? Well, are you gonna get kicked out of school? Are you gonna fail basically? And then I I started to just take the test, try to do my best, and I was having trouble think, and I looked around and I noticed everybody was like way ahead of me,
Okay.
and I just panicked again, and I just kind of shut down.
Okay. And that's pretty typical for when you're taking tests.
Hmm.
Okay. So now you were saying that some of the thoughts that you had um, as you began taking the test were, what if I fail again? Any other thoughts that are running through your mind as you start to take the test?
Um, Everybody else must really know this stuff, or I must not know it because I'm not going. Because they're going faster, so they obviously know it better.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna fail. I'm kind of worried about like getting kicked out of school. I'm kind of worried about like basically failing in life.
Okay. All right. That's quite a strain of thoughts there.
Yeah.
What about when you first find out about a test? Any thoughts that kind of bubble up in your head? You're sitting in class, a teacher announces a test, anything that pops in there?
Not so much. It
Okay.
doesn't really bother me more so until the moment happens.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. And you're studying and really preparing, and it's kind of when it actually starts that then the thoughts kind of start.
Hmm.
Okay. How about feelings that go along with those thoughts? What are you feeling as you're taking these tests?
Um, at the start, I feel confident, ready to go up until like I get it, and then I go blank, and then I just think, I guess I feel pretty scared,
Okay.
and then I start to feel frustrated, and then pretty low, I guess.
Okay.
Pretty low after that.
Okay. And so then when you start feeling scared, frustrated, and low, what happens? What do you do? What are the behaviors that you engage in?
I pretty much just shut down and either barely write anything down just to get it over with, or I leave it blank and just hand it in.
Okay. And that's not working out very well for you in the long run. Okay. So basically, what's happening is you find out about a test, you have difficulty with tests, so you start studying and you're pretty well prepared,
Mm-hmm.
at least at the outset, right? Then you get into the test. You start to get a little bit anxious. Or maybe you start to think first about how poorly you did on the last test and what doing poorly means, not only to this current test, but to your kind of standing as a student or, the way that you perceive how well you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as that happens, you're feeling scared, you're feeling anxious, you're looking up, looking around at everybody else, seeing that they're way ahead of you, and really taking your focus away from the task at hand, even though you've prepared.
Yeah.
So even though you've prepared, you're leaving answers blank, you can't focus, you can't get what's in your head down on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. That's what happens. Yeah.
Okay. Am I missing anything?
Well, I don't think so.
Okay. So just to kind of, and the reason that I go over that is because, one of the things that we're going to want to work on with our work going forward is how your thoughts and your feelings affect your behavior and affect your outcomes, right? So what's going on is there's an event that happens, okay? And this is true for anybody. There's an event that happens. We have a belief about that event. And then that belief is what influences our feelings and our behavior, okay? It's not the event itself. So, it's not like finding out that you have a test causes you to fall apart, right? It actually causes you to do some studying and engage in some behaviors that are going to help you do well on the test.
Yeah.
But as soon as the test is in front of you, you have a belief about it that activates a whole bunch of anxiety and a whole bunch of fear. And then you can't perform at your most optimum level because you're letting those thoughts and you're letting those feelings take over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess so. So if you're saying that it's not actually a test that makes me anxious, it's more what I think about the test.
Yeah, I mean, and think about it for a second. Like, how does that, if you think about it like that for a second, how does that feel to you?
I don't know. I guess it's kind of probably a good thing
Mm-hmm.
because then maybe you have control over it in some degree.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about how you were explaining it to me. You feel confident at first, and then the test is in front of you. You start to think, what if I do poorly?
Hmm.
And then the feelings happen,
Yeah.
right? So if
Yeah.
you even think about it in that chain of events, and you're right, the nice thing is even, and remember, this is, you've been thinking this way for 2 years now. Just knowing that, oh, the way I'm thinking about this maybe isn't the best way to think about it, isn't going to solve the problem. But, it does let you know that if you can interpret the event in a different way, it might lead to a different feeling and it might lead to a different behavior, which will certainly lead to a different outcome.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
So you're saying I can't just think about it differently? That won't work.
You can just think about it differently, and that's what we're going to work on doing. We want
Okay.
we want you to think about it differently. However, because you've been thinking this way for 2 years now, it's not going to be.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
not going to change overnight.
So like I need practice.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and that's what we'll kind of work on going forward. Is there anything else that you need me to understand about this that I might be missing?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then we'll meet next time and get going on this.